Welcome in, guys. It's your boy Drew to Smash back at you again with Buffs Dynasty episode 9 coming at you. We're back here with a bye week in week 8 of our first season here at Colorado. So, with that being said, just like our last bye week, we're going to jump into a few different things. So, first off, we're going to start with what's going on around the country. The top 25. We briefly looked at this at the end of last episode, but let's dive back into it. So, Ohio State and Miami holding strong at the top two. Michigan State still at 3. Tennessee at 4. Wisconsin jumps up to 5, being week 8 or being 8th last week. USC up to the 6th slot. Utah up to 7. We got Arizona State, who kicked the piss out of us, up to 8. You got Pittsburgh at 9, Michigan at 10 after beating Penn State last week. Penn State at 11, Arkansas at 12, UTSA undefeated, looking good at 13. NC State lost to Syracuse. You got Bama at 15, West Virginia at 16, Baylor at 17, Texas A&M falls all the way to 18 after being in the top 10 last week. Then you got Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and UCLA making a UCLA as well as Texas making it into the top 25 in a 7-0 Red Red River rivalry showdown. Sorry, that's a little bit of a tongue twister there. Wow, unbelievable. So, with that, that is the top 25 for you guys. Let's dive into what the Pac 12, our conference specifically, is looking like. So, here in the South, you got Arizona State undefeated, UCLA is undefeated in conference, you got Utah and USC. All of these teams are ranked in the top 25. With 1-0 losses. Then you got Arizona and then us at the very bottom, rounding out the conference. Our points for and points against is dead even, so our differential is 0. Looking at the North, you got Oregon State at 1, who did beat us. You got Washington State there at 2. Washington, Oregon, Stanford, and Cal rounds out the North. So will be interesting to see how the North as well as how the South plays out. As of right now, it is looking very interesting of which of these kind of four teams could take the step up. We're not out of the race, and neither is Arizona. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of us step up here in the South. So try and meet the level of competition. Let's go into the Heisman watch here. So again, dove into this a little bit at the end of the last episode. We have Sam Hartman, number 1, KJ Jefferson, Rashad White makes an appearance after he dominated us. Again, 41 carries, 227 yards, 4 touchdowns, also caught 6 passes for 50 yards. Devin Ashane drops a little bit in the rankings, and Bryce Young drops a little bit there as well, even though he had a fairly good game. So, but Sam Hartman lighting it up against Virginia, 29 of 45, 360, and 4 touchdowns. So, will be interesting to continuing to watch how that plays out. Let's check out the season stats for the team. So, we'll start first with Brendan Lewis. He's 128 for 206, almost 2,100 yards, 13 touchdowns to 12 picks. Not great, but he's averaging roughly 350 a game and completing 62% of his passes. On the ground, we have Fontenot, who's leading the attack with 99 carries, 446 and 8 touchdowns, averaging 4.5 per carry. Lewis, since we do run a spread option type offense, is 96 carries for 370 and 6 touchdowns. R.J. Sneed, but again, the leader of our receiving crew, 30 receptions, 756 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Russell is number 2 in regards to receptions. Arias, second in yards, and then Jackson. We got to continue to get our tight ends involved. From a yardage standpoint, they've also been key targets for us in the red zones, accumulating 3 touchdowns. Tommy Brown, 22 pancakes, 0 sacks allowed. On pace for a really good season from Tommy there. Looking at the defense, Quinn Perry leads us in tackles with 39. Semedo second with 34 tackles. I didn't mean to click X there. Tackles for loss, we got Lang leading the way with 10. Barnes second with 7. And then Guy Thomas with 6, who's tied with Marvin Ham the second. As for sacks go, we got Guy Thomas and Terrence Lang both tied with 3 fours. As far as picks go, Nico Reed has 2 and Trevor Woods has 1. Pass deflections, Quinn Perry and Tyron Taylor lead the way there. We forced 3 fumbles and recovered 1 of those. And then don't assume we have any touchdowns or anything like that. As far as how we rank in, as far as the country goes, Brendan Lewis second in the country in passing yards. Fontenot 80th in rushing yards. Definitely got to get the ground game going more. Snead currently is third in the country in receiving yards. Tackle leaders Perry and Semedo are at the top. However, if you've played this game, you know that the tackles can be misleading there. So Guy Thomas as well as Terrence Lang tied for 114th in the country in sacks with 3. Interceptions, Nico Reed sitting at 75th in the country. And then kicking wise, Becker is at 34th with his long of 48. So, with that kind of sums up everything going on around the country for you guys here in Buffs Dynasty. But I know you guys want to focus on the heart and soul of what's going to build us to be a true dominant program, which is recruiting. So let's get into it. Let's dive into our board here. So first off, we have 3 new commits. After our ass kicking that we received from Arizona State, Mark Berg said, "Hey, Coach Tomo, I'm coming to Colorado, and let's turn this thing around." So Mark Berg is 6'2", 203, 3-star strong safety from Humboldt, Texas, coming to join the Buffs. So with Mark Berg in particular, we're looking at his overalls here. 77 speed, really good strength, good acceleration, agility, fairly good tackle pursuit, and is good in zone coverage as well as has good block shed. Mark Berg is probably going to be somebody we look to convert to be a middle linebacker in our 3-4 defense. Over the top coverage, he's a little too slow for my liking, but with his, with the way he looks as far as a player goes, he's going to be a really good guy for us to be kind of a coverage linebacker. He needs to put on a little bit of weight, so we'll follow to see if Mark does that. But he's going to be most likely a middle linebacker for us. Nick Butler, the 6'1", 191-pound wide receiver out of Vidor, Texas, 3-star player, has also committed to the Buffs. So 94 speed, needs to work on his agility and acceleration. Fairly good at catching the ball, good route runner, as well as does do well after the catch. So he is somebody we're excited to get into this offense. Pair him with Cedric Young. We got some speed now at the receiver position. Just need to make sure that they're catching the ball and that we can find ways to get those guys in space and use that athleticism to create some big plays. So very excited to get him in the building. Then lastly, James Mays, a 6'4", 191 athlete out of Edgewood, New Mexico, 3-star player. Again, with James, we have a lot of options, frankly. 91 speed. Again, he's got the size and that we ideally are looking for. Plays good in the back end. Has 77 man, 77 zone. Good play rec. Good pursuit. Tackling, not a super strong suit, but he can. Looks to be that he could be a very good corner for us, possibly. Maybe even a safety if we're able to work on getting that tackling up. Reason I say would definitely look to be more of a free safety for us, if anything. Secondarily to that is he could possibly play on the offensive side of the ball. 71 catching is a good number. He's not a great route runner, and not great at getting off, so that limits his abilities there. However, we could definitely work with him and develop in those areas, and look to be very good that way. However, he is great with the ball in his hands. He's got 71 elusiveness, not great at running people over, needs to put a little weight on to be able to do that. But can stiff arms, got good spin and juke move, as well as the most interesting thing, 79 throw power and 73 throw accuracy. Could James Mays possibly be our quarterback of the future? Come in and be a dual threat quarterback for us right away. It's possible, is what I will leave it at right now. I have not made a decision. We're just glad to have him commit right now, but you know, based on what he's looking at, we're definitely looking at the defensive side of the ball to get a 6'4" corner. That's huge, especially with where his ratings sit currently. Um, However, safety definitely very much a possibility, and the quarterback option will depend on what the rest of our class looks like. So, with that, let's dive into who we are targeting. Real quick before we do that, we have 19 scholarships available with our 6 commits that we have already. So, keep that in mind. So, number one, or I should say, again, I probably went over this, but at the top is kind of the guys that are penciled in to commit with us for the most part, that we don't need to allocate any more points to. Middle part are the guys that we want to allocate points to, so forth and so on. But Greg Walton, again, we talked about Greg last bye week. He is a big tight end, 6'6", 253. We have him scheduled for a visit. He will be coming to the Arizona game that we have coming up here in week 9, so we'll need to put on a show for him. Pete Ginn is virtually all but locked up, just kind of a waiting game for Pete there, but he will look to be committing to us out of New Mexico, so excited to get him as an outside linebacker. Mario Robinson, the safety, everything's looking perfect there, and he will be coming week 9 for a visit as well. Scott Davis, again, week 9 visit for Scott, but he will be coming in that week. Derek Alexander is still waiting to schedule a visit, but he's kind of just a wait and get him squared away guy. Mario Dykes got a huge lead over Mizzou for him, and we had a great visit with him when he came to the Oregon game, so hopefully we'll be able to get him committed in here sooner rather than later. Brian Carlson, in a little slight battle for him as a corner, so Arizona State is pursuing him fairly heavily. We have our visit with him week 9, and then Arizona State will follow up in week 14, so hopefully we get him to commit prior to then. So, now, this time around, we're going to talk very heavily about our low lock cheese guys that we've targeted. We've been fairly lucky with this, so hopefully, if everything pans out, we're going to have a great recruiting class. If it does not, we got more recruiting work to do, to say the least. So, let's dive into it. Let's start first with the number one player that we need to get solidified right now, and that's Craig Williams, 6'1", 172, 4-star, number one corner in the class from Sincero, Illinois. Looking at his ratings, fast, great player, great man and zone coverage, and he can make plays on the ball. We have a scholarship offer on him. Uh, as you can see, Bama just offered him, I believe. But we're heavy in on this guy, so we are going all in to try and bring Craig Williams to Boulder, Colorado. To follow that up, we found Philip Liston out of Walnut Creek, California, 5'10", 170, 3-star, but the number 10 corner in the class. Gem, +7, 92 speed. Again, great man in zone coverage. He will be a staple in our secondary as we build this out. With that being said, though, we are the only school to offer him a scholarship. I think Michigan's starting to catch on, which is why you see them entering the battle. But we got to get this guy locked up, too. These two playing corner for us over the long term, we're going to have a mean cornerback room that is going to be able to lock down any receivers in the country that we go up against. So we're very excited to hopefully land these two. Not getting our hopes too high, but right now it's looking really good. Moving on to Thomas Rhodes, defensive end, 6'4", 254, out of Hiawatha, Iowa. Number 14 DN in the class, 4-star prospect. Holding on by the hair of our skinny chin chin for program tradition with this guy, since that is a deal breaker. But this guy is also a 6+6 overall gem, 76 speed, good strength, great blocking, shedding, finesse moves, and power moves. And this guy could possibly be a menace for us coming off the edge in our 3-4 defense with his, pardon me, with his skill set. We do have the versatility of playing him possibly as an outside linebacker, possibly defensive end, depending on the holes that we have that we're trying to fill. But with him, he looks great. Hopefully, we can bring him in. Again, only school to offer him a scholarship right now. So we're Thomas Rhodes leaning to come into Boulder. Just got to close the deal. Moving on, Cole Dawson, 6'1", 193 wide receiver out of Fort Pierce, Florida, 4-star, number 33 wide receiver in the class. With that, again, found another gem. +6, 93 speed. If we're able to pair him and he's able to be our true number one, our other two guys we signed are very much developmental prospects, but looking at a 3 to 4 year outlook, if we get Cole Dawson with Cedric Young, we're going to be explosive on the outside. This guy can catch, do it all with his speed. So as of right now, Florida and Florida State are kind of his dream schools. He wants to stay in state. However, we're the only school that's offered him a scholarship. So, we're just gonna continue to recruit him hard and try and get Cole Dawson to be a Buffalo. So, hoping all goes well there. Next, moving on to Van Bailey, a 6'1", 274-pound guard, 3-star from Flower Mound, Texas, number 22 in the class. So with this guy, again, we're bringing up the gems. +7, baby. Great prospect. He doesn't have the typical size that we'd look for in our offensive line. However, the skill sets are there that, the size doesn't matter to me. So with that, as far as what's going on with him, he's scheduled visits with Nebraska and Oklahoma. He's scheduled to visit Oklahoma week 12. And he also has a scholarship from Oklahoma. Nebraska has not offered him yet. We have offered him, and we're slightly behind. We're pretty far behind Oklahoma. So we'll see if bringing Van Bailey is actually a possibility for us. It's looking very slim. However, we're holding out hope here for a couple more weeks. Let's get into the two running backs we're looking for. Tyrone Parker, 6'2", 208, 4-star, number 15 running back in the class out of North Brunswick, New Jersey. As to be expected, Wisconsin's in on the power back. Surprise, surprise. 84 speed, just kind of a good blend of speed, agility, and acceleration. Good in all facets. We're the only school that's offered him a scholarship so far, so we're holding out hope that Wisconsin does not do that so we can bring in Tyrone Parker. Moving on to Trey House, 6 foot, 217-pound running back out of Poplar Tent, North Carolina. 4-star, number 18 running back in this class. A little bit faster than Tyrone, but also a good 4-star prospect. So, only school to offer him so far, and we're just hunting Trey down to try and bring him in to be a buff. Great running back, I think, for us long term to help build that running back room even more so. So, with that, we get to the quarterback that we are targeting for this year, Tyrone Moses, 6'2", 228-pound, out of New York, New York. 3-star, number 20 quarterback in the class, 76 overall. 84 speed, has the size, speed, agility, throw power, accuracy, everything that we look for in our dual threat guy. Texas has offered him, and they're going after him just as we are. So hopefully Tyrone Moses ends up a buff, because he would be our quarterback of the future. We'd look to probably redshirt him since we do have Brendan Lewis still on campus, but he could look to be a mighty fine quarterback for us over the long term. Next, we get into Manuel Blunt, 6'6", 240-pound tight end, 4-star, number 7 tight end in the entire class out of Wiley, Texas. This guy's got it all: size, speed. The skill set does need to work on his catching, but he is a very good run blocker. We're the only school in the country to offer him, so things are looking good there. But yeah, hopefully we can continually bring in Manuel Blunt to add to our tight end room. That's hopefully going to also have Greg Walton. Sorry, fucked up his name there. We'll get it down. Anyway, moving on. We got Patrick Estes, 6'6", 257-pound, 4-star defensive end out of Waipahu, Hawaii. Again, good athlete overall, very much a power rusher. He would stay at defensive end in our 3-4 defense no matter what. I love his athleticism at the position. But yeah, he looks very good and excited to, again, only school to offer him. So hopefully we can keep bringing in Patrick to, one, I would love to have a Hawaii pipeline. There's great talent coming out of Hawaii nowadays that if we can continually get some talented players from Hawaii, it's going to be a benefit for us. Next, moving on to Joe Robinson, the 6'1", 197-pound, 4-star safety out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, number 7 in the class. Again, good speed, good coverage, good tackler. Really like what we have here, and we are the only school to offer him so far to date. And hopefully we look to bring him in. And then lastly, the guy that we hope to fill our last scholarship, Blake Sherman. This is a late add to our board, so that's why we are lower on his list still. But 6'1", 191, 4-star, 38th athlete in the class from Bayshore Gardens, Florida. This guy's a straight burner, 95 speed. Again, wide receiver through and through. This guy, not a great catcher of the ball, has great catch in traffic, 95 route running. 95. Great with the ball in his hands. Getting this guy in space is going to be something huge. Again, late add to our board. Only school to offer him a scholarship, so hopefully we can continue to move forward down Blake Sherman's kind of list, if you will, to get him committed. So with that, yeah, that is our 19 players we are heavily recruiting on to be buffs, and then we'll kind of take it from there. These are guys that we're just kind of monitoring. We've offered some scholarships to a couple of them just to keep it in our back pockets in case if something goes wrong. But Yeah, with that, we'll just run through these just so that way it's not a surprise if they show up on the team. Kenneth Evans, defensive end out of Ohio, 4-star. Russell Alvarez, giant tackle out of Kentucky. Alex Schaefer out of Woodland Park, Colorado, tackle. John Barrow from Pennsylvania, tackle. Lewis Harrison, JUCO tackle out of Beaumont, Texas. You got Marcus Richard, a guard out of Maryland. You got Matthew Slaughter, a guard out of Ohio. And then Carlos Concepcion, middle linebacker out of Alabama. So that wraps up our recruiting and our bye week for this week. So with that, we're on to week 9 against Arizona. And just to leave you guys a little bit of a cliffhanger as we'll get into week 9 there. So with that, that wraps up week 8, our bye week. So with that, make it a great day. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's grow this thing. Let's make the Smash channel one to grow here on the Sports YouTube Gaming. So with that, I hope everybody has a blessed day. As you can see, we got some guys that are ready to visit, so that's a great sign. But with that, make it a blessed day. Again, subscribe. We need to get those subscribers, those watch hours up so we can get on the road to monetization so that way I can give back to you guys. That's what I'm all about here on this. Again, this is just me doing this for fun right now. So with that, the quicker we get to monetization, the quicker I give back to my communities and how frequently I can give back to the community. So with that, that's Buffs Dynasty Week 8. We'll see you in Week 9. And this is Drew to Smash signing off for Coach Tomo. We'll see you in the next one. Later.